World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Like a child, you wanna keep it, but your shiny eyes reveal the simple truth.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Halfway. Often a word which is used and bandied about, but in a short series like this, halfway means quite a bit. Halfway means a lot because this championship is so short. It means the difference between fighting for a championship, fighting a lot lower down for the minor positions. Every point mattering here as we are here in this wonderful Spanish countryside for another brilliant race that we are looking to expect here from your Thrustmaster World Pro Racing F19 short series here, powered, of course, by Thrustmaster and supported by Melita Gaming Malta and Visit Malta. I'm Jake Sperry here in the commentary box, Justin Mifsud on the cameras for this production brought to you by World Pro Racing with the likes of Adrian Fagayo, Chief Race Director, George Muscat, Chief Race Steward, as we expect some very glorious racing action around a track being raced over and over and over again. And in terms of where the proving ground are made for drivers, for vehicles, for anything of the sort, this is the place to go to where that is found. That is going to be the key for these drivers. This is the proving ground where they look to try and find exactly what they need to practice. It's currently underway as Fred Borden on cues just completely demolished the rear wing of somebody who I didn't quite catch who that was, but absolutely teetotal. I think that may have been Sam Carpenter, potentially. No, it was in front of Sam Carpenter. It was Tarek Njumi who ended up losing his rear wing just then. Not the way that you want practice to go in terms of the start, but ultimately the good news is that was practice. They can get that reset and get themselves back out and going again. But this is all about momentum, which has been building in the pathway for Craig Baxter at the top of the championship. 2 wins out of 2, 70 points out of 7. You cannot really argue against that. Say that he's had a really bad time with things. Been dominating both races. Has had one little slip up in terms of an incident earlier on in China, but did not have really too many worries to deal with coming after that, after running into another driver, which was deemed a racing incident. So 70 points, 15-point lead in the championship always sound very, very nice to be dealing with when coming to a race such as this one. What is going to be telling here is that it's against 2 drivers that he fights with, one of which is teammate Sam Carpenter, who has been very much the foil to Craig Baxter in the sense that he has been a very strong supporting role character. The other one, though, is the Peruvian, Luis Felipe Capamajan, who has been very, very quick when it has come to the race. He has been fantastic on the strategies and knows exactly what to do when it gets to the clutch. And of course, when you talk about this championship, you've got to talk about how short it is. Of course, we've said for many a time at this point, it's a short 5-round championship. That means that this is round 3. This is going to be tough. But you know, those final 2 tracks, that is going to be a difference maker. Of course, we go to the streets of Monaco, and then we head to Spielberg, Austria for the final round of the season. So that's going to be crucial. That's going to be key. And what is also very key at the moment for Craig Baxter is that he puts as much daylight between himself and everybody else. Of course, with 35 points in the offing for a race victory, that could the champion fall away very, very quickly with one wrong move. That one wrong move is not going to be happening in this practice session because he is top of the timing stands on a 1:16.908 at the moment. Sam Carpenter in second, Luis Felipe Capamajan in third. So the usual suspect all finding themselves where they need to be here today. So that's going to be very, very crucial in terms of the way that that is going to be running. So we'll see how this all plays out in the long and the short of things here today. But a lot of drivers fighting for a lot of big result here, and that's also going to be crucial if we talk just a little bit further down the championship. Likes of Konrad Zarebiec leading the best of the rest in third place. Lorenzo Capellini in the fourth did get a 5-second time penalty that didn't cost him any positions coming out of the last race in China. But what is very key is that Dean Vella is sitting there in sixth position, and from about 18 points down to about 1 point, you could say 6th to 18th, any position changes could be huge at this point in time, and those massive swings of drivers scoring points are going to be key. Worth noting that a non-finish means no points, so drivers have that prerogative to go out there, continue, score their points, and continue racing all the way to the end in these half race distance or half Formula One style race distances that all of these drivers look to try and go out there and race with. Some returns. Nick Bracci returns after a race absence in the second round of the championship, so he'll be looking to try and get his pace up moving forward. He finished 5th in Bahrain and did not start in China, so Nick Bracci 7th in the championship, someone to keep an eye out on. But other drivers who maybe you want to keep a little bit of focus towards might be the likes of Eric Chandra making his first start in the season. Nicola Cadarin also doing exactly the same. We'll see what Cadarin is able to do, as well as Argenis Riera, who will be looking like he is probably the quickest out of those three. Hasn't set a time yet here in practice around this very devilishly difficult circuit, which is a tyre killer in terms of all these corners. You're never truly going straight until you hit the final sections of the lap. So you know that the car is always going to be unsettled. It's always going to be unbalanced around this place. They all have to work incredibly hard to make sure that they are looking after the tyres, or if they're not going to be looking after those tyres, they are looking after the strategy game, which we saw was a 1 versus 2 stop last time out. The red wall super soft tyres and the yellow wall soft tyres in full effect for this one today. And of course, if you are brand new to World Pro Racing, if you're catching us on YouTube, on Facebook Live, and also on the likes of Twitch TV as well, you can subscribe in whichever corner it is that the subscribe buttons are, or the like buttons and the share buttons. Make sure you get this out to as many people as you can to show just how brilliant sim racing is in these unprecedented times that we live through at this moment in history. But time to make your history here for these drivers, because 5 seconds remain in this practice, and from there we'll be heading over to qualifying, and how tough this qualifying session will be. Dirty air is such a huge factor if you're running behind another driver around here, because you're very seldom going to be finding yourself hitting those top speeds around this place. It is all about trying to get out front and working on forward. Most drivers who win races like these, well, they are able to do so from the front of the pack. We'll see how the front of the pack will be the big difference maker here today. We've seen that it has been 2 perfect races for Craig Baxter. He's got pole position on both occasions here and is looking for a 3rd straight pole to convert to a 3rd straight victory in order to win the prizes supplied by Thrustmaster, of course. So that's going to be very, very crucial in terms of the way that that's going to be run. Here's the mad scramble. They'll have to wait down at the end of pit lane here before they get themselves the opportunity to get off and going here. They're waiting for the green light, and there it is. And here's the mad scramble, and Sam Carpenter, I think, is going to win this one here, heading down towards turn number 1. They are allowed to move out over the white line a little bit earlier than what the white line indicates, so they do have a little bit of leniency and leeway. It was Kapamajian who was trying to get to the front of the queue, but Sam Carpenter very much winning that scrap out as they head themselves through turn number 4. It's 180-degree right-hander where you can carry quite a fair bit of speed as you go down the hill into turn number 5, Elf Corner, before putting on the power. Small kink left of 6 is always flat out before heading to the very difficult transfer of turns 7 and 8. Very easy to loop the car in that section of road before putting on the power. Here's turn 9, which is all about this ferociousness about dealing with the downforce you have available with you. Then you hit the back straight where there is opportunities that knock into the turn 10, look like it's a hairpin, before now heading to the third sector of the lap. This, again, tricky, I would say, transfer section, which can always catch drivers out. Before we head into the modified section in 2008, I want to say. It's a very old track, actually. It's 12 years old, this layout. At this moment in time, you go a little bit earlier through the right before you get the left-right king, which come along as a very difficult and tight cane, which makes life tough with the heavy anti-cut curves around that section of road. But this is all about getting those lap times in and the tyres squealing away for Sam Carpenter through turn number 1. He is desperate to carry that speed as much as he possibly can here in this one. Drivers all looking to set their laps. Of course, 15 minutes around a lap here, which is regarded as a medium speed lap, I would say. Not necessarily for the average top speed today. This is going to be one of the slower races on the calendar, but what this typically will do is give a lot of drivers a lot of chance to go out there to race and to really show that qualifying is going to be their place to get it right. It won't be right at the moment for Craig Baxter. He's pulled it off into pit lane and he'll have to try and reset for his lap time. He can't afford to do it too much, though. You know, perfection is something that these drivers do search for, but if they cannot search and find it enough, then they are going to be in a world of hurt if they are trying to scrabble around for a lap with 5 minutes to go in the session. Sometimes it is just worth putting a banker lap down on the board and coming back out and trying again to find the laps that the Carpenter sets the early pace. 1:17.1, 2/10 clear of Luis Felipe Capamagian with a very hot track condition here today. It's 31 degrees ambient, 31 degrees on track. Flavio Zongoli going third. Lorenzo Capellini fourth at 2.2 seconds back then. Likes of Dean Vella jumping Capellini as Garrido jumps Capellini also. Galea goes seventh, so he's the slowest of all these drivers at the moment. The likes of Argenis Riera, 5/10 off there in third. That's close as they go through. Barbakov going fourth, which is a good time actually there for Stoyan Barbakov at the moment, looking to find some improvements. Eric Chandra going ninth, but jumped by Alessio Spinelli going into 8th place, and Lorenzo Emili going up inside the top 10. So that's going to be strong. We have seen drivers make great progress here today. As actually, I do have to correct myself. I believe it was Stoyan Barbakov who actually did get pole position at Bahrain from earlier on. Nick Bracci up to fourth, though, on a 1:17.9. So that is a very, very good qualifying there by Bracci. He will be very happy with the way that he has got that one done at the moment. But let's focus, though, on a driver who is just about starting his flying laps right now. Craig Baxter really motoring through the right, up over the marbles here on the outside there of that part of the circuit into turn 5, down the hill and around, and just looking a little bit wiggly as he heads through that section, takes the wider line to try and open up this left-hand bend of turn 7, motors on by one of the drivers there who was just going a little bit slowly there out on track in terms of who that was. I'm trying to get a number and I'm definitely not finding it. Baxter then heading himself through the hairpin. Looked like he was a little wide there through that section, and up the hill he will come along once again to try and set some better laps here as he goes through the right. Now the left-right chicane comes along. Bracci won't improve on his time as he gets himself back down into pits, gets a reset and gets back going again. Fred Borden, good time from him at the moment in 7th, and there's Craig Baxter, only 3rd on a 1:17.516. It didn't look like it was a good time that he was setting. There was a lot of raggedy mistakes here and there from Baxter, so he's got to try and find out and iron out those kinks. He knows he's got 0.4 of a second there or thereabouts to try and find to gain that place, which he so badly needs to. Your top 5, Carpenter, Capamagian, Baxter, Riera, and Bracci is the way that it stands at the moment, as this is a full grid that we've got here today, a full 20 drivers looking like they want to set themselves the best opportunity. 3 drivers yet to set lap times here at the moment. Nane Colas is one of them. Danny Ball, the vehicle that was slow in front of one Mr. Baxter earlier on. He is another one who's yet to set a time. And then the final driver is Tarek Njumi at this moment in time. So Njumi looking to try and get his first qualifying in race under the belt. He was due to turn up in China last week, but ultimately did not make it to the start of the grid. So he is looking for just a little something here today to try and find that boost at the moment. Nicola Katerine is currently the slowest driver out of everybody at the moment. He is in 17th place on a 122.2, not necessarily a representative lap time you would have felt. So a look to try and find a bit more pace out of this WPR-F19 would be absolutely marvellous, you would say, at this point in time. So we'll see how the likes of Katerine is going to find these improvements. Someone who has is Dean Vella. He's up into 6th place now on a 117.947. He is just over a second off of Sam Carpenter, who has gone quicker into the 116 for the first time. A 116.9 is good enough as Zongoli spins it through turn 5. He will not find improvement there on that lap going forward. So crucially, Sam Carpenter has found himself even quicker. But as we know here, 15 minutes of qualifying, this normally gets faster and faster. The longer that this session goes on, the more that the rubber gets put down onto the circuit, and these drivers find exactly what they need. Here is Kapamajian, crosses the line and stays on a 117.3 for the time being. That's going to be crucial for that run going forward. Here's Argenis Riera, though. He's in 4th position at this moment in time. And he's been blocked there going through on his qualifying lap, and that is going to hurt. Martin Garrido was on a lap of his own. He couldn't necessarily move out of the way. Those are the troubles of qualifying. Garrido does not find improvement then from that 12th place. So that's going to be a little bit of a kick in the teeth there, you would feel, from Argenis Riera. Got blocked behind a driver who wasn't going quicker. So maybe a little bit of point of contention to be made at that situation. We haven't seen many issues come up in qualifying for certain drivers in terms of blocking, but this is one of the few tracks where I think there might be work cut out in the qualifying session for Adrian Fagayo and George Muscat, the chief stewards here today, who are FIA sanctioned and licensed at this moment. So they definitely know what they're doing, and they will have a good look at that, as Baxter does go second, but only by 7 thousandths he goes second. At this moment in time, he needs those 7 thousandths for pole. 116.949, a fantastic lap time as Zongoli finds himself in the gravel again, as I just looked through. So that's not going to be helpful at all, as drivers are starting to try and push the limits here. 6 minutes to go. One vehicle going wide is Argenis Riera, who has not found improvement on his opening lap of a 17.7 here today. But at the moment, it's the BB Sport Cars who are both 1 and 2 at the moment, as they were last time, but it is a role reversal here at this moment. So we could see some big improvement come through over the next 5 minutes. And of course, these drivers, once they start their lap times, they are allowed to finish. Mastermind rules in full effect then here for this one today, as these drivers all look to try and search. Capolini down 15th, Nathan Mifsud 14th, Eric Chandra 13th at the moment, as they are having some good runs at the moment in this one, as there is a bit of a split here in times. Tarek Njumi has set a lap time, but his time is a 128.6, well outside of 107%, which is, of course, not run in this series, but 107% rule. He need about 4 seconds to try and get himself back within that sort of time. Of course, that's typically around 6-7 seconds that you find 107% come into crucial play at the moment. In terms of improvements, though, it is still those as they were at the moment. Barbakov out there on a flyer, Dean Vella on a outlap at the moment. The likes of Kapamajian trying to make progress here into the final chicane. Really trying to be nice and neat here is the Peruvian, and doing so nicely through the final corner. Pretty much flat out through that section. DRS will go wide open over the line. That's improvement, but not for position. So 117 flat, 1/10. Riera does improve time, but not position. Crucially, now this is getting close at the front. Oh, Sam Carpenter got a huge scare going through, and actually gives a tap behind there to whoever that driver was. I think it wasn't Dean Vella, it was the driver just in front of that. So that was not what you want to be seeing. I wonder if that was Tarek Njumi there, who had a big moment, and it was. So Njumi straight on in front of Sam Carpenter, and he got a bump for his troubles there going through. So Sam Carpenter will not be pleased that his lap has had to have been abandoned so close to the end of this qualifying. So now he's got to reset himself, go out there, get that done again, and go through. Every time becomes key as Barbakov moves up to 5th place on a 1:17.7. So he has got himself up ahead of Bracci, ahead of Vella, and Eric Chandra now up into 8th place. So Chandra doing a wonderful job in qualifying as he comes over the line and looks to find more time, but does not get any more in terms of what he needs to go and improve in his times at the moment. But it's all about those who will be coming out with 3 minutes to go. Carpenter and Baxter and Kapamajian, these three fighting for the title, have been pretty much at the whims of Craig Baxter. But now it's about these three putting every lap together for one final push and a roll of the dice. Here is Kapamajian, we believe, on an out lap here at this point in time, looking to try and find some improvement here. In this one, he needs 1/10 of a second, which is always tough, but when you're early in the morning, you often get the gears whirring, and that's maybe what we're seeing from Kapamajian. The gears starting to click into form and focus as he now goes onto a flyer and looks to try and set a wonderful lap time, which he knows he is very, very capable of. Middle of the order is going to be interesting. You got Borden in 9th, Spinelli 10th, Zongoli 11th. Capellini's just moved up to 13th. So in terms of the Italians, we got 4 straight at the moment, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th at this point in time. They'll be looking to try and get those improvements going. Barbakov across the line remains in 5th place on a 17.7. I think there was a slight improvement there in terms of that time. Kapamajian then making his way over towards turn 10, one of the prime places to go out there and make moves here today. And on the brakes, no worries at all. Little bit squirrely trying to put the power down, but there aren't too many worries. Heading here nice and tight through the right-hander. Gets a bit of a slide off the exit though, and that's not going to help in terms of the way this is run. Baxter now start his potentially last flying lap, depends how quick he goes, but Kapamajian's got one more to go through, and he abandons the ship then. He will go no quicker than 3rd, so it's between the two teammates, 7 thousandths apart, Baxter and Carpenter, and crucially Baxter is first on track in terms of those times, so we'll keep an eye on that here at the end of this session. 50 seconds then remaining here as Dean Vella's day is done. He'll go no higher than 7th. This is Nick Bracci in 6th though, trying to get himself over the line. He'll have one more after this as he crosses. He will not improve on his time. He needs another go around if he wants to try and get what he wants out of it at the moment. Nathan Nifson is done. He spears it straight into the barrier at the moment, so keep an eye on this. This is going to be crucial. Baxter heading through the final sector on the track right now, and he needs something here to try and improve. 7 thousandths will do it. Carpenter's only got one lap here, and the clock is ticking away here. Just 10 seconds remaining. I think Baxter may get one more here if he's incredibly quick. 5 seconds remaining now on the clock. Does he make it to the line in time? And the answer is yes, he does. He goes fastest, 1:16.6. And he says, I can't go any quicker than that. Here comes Carpenter over the line. Timer expires. He did improve, but not enough. 2.5 tenths behind. Baxter at their death, put in a worldie to put himself up on pole position. Nick Bracci, though, trying to find a time in 6th place. Ongoli's moved up to 8th. Borden up now into 9th, bumping down Eric Chandra, I believe, now into 10th place. And Chandra's got a long way to go in terms of his lap. Here is Bracci making his way through the final corner. He could do with maybe a couple of jumps. Stoyan Barbakov, if he can, and across the line he goes. He did improve, but not enough. He was 21 thousandths short of another position on the road. So that's going to be crucial. Chandra out there at the moment. Here's Lorenzo Capellini trying to improve on 13th. 18.6. He was up as high as 4th and battling for 3rd last time out, but it's only 12th on a 1:18.166. He tied times with Spinelli out there here at the moment. Here is Eric Chandra, though. Nicola Katerine as well on a lap time. Look to try and find improvement. Katerine jumps Nane Kolas, and Eric Chandra is staying in 10th position. So, confirmation, Craig Baxter will be on pole with Sam Carpenter 2nd, Luis Felipe Capamadjan in 3rd, Argenis Riera 4th. It'll be Stoyan Barbakov, followed by Nick Bracci, then Dean Vella 7th, and Flavio Zongoli 8th, Fred Borden 9th, and Eric Chandra in 10th. It's Alessio Spinelli, then Lorenzo Capellini, Lorenzo Emili, Martin Garrido, Nathan Mifsud, and Matthew Galea on row 8. It'll be Nicola Katerine, Nane Kolas, Danny Ball, and Tarkan Jumi makes the 20. We're going to pay a couple of bills here, though, at World Pro Racing, so stay with us. We'll be back with more after this.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Like a child, you wanna keep it, but your shiny eyes reveal the simple truth.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Thrustmaster World Pro Racing F19 short series, brought to you on YouTube, on Facebook Live, and on Twitch TV as well. We are in the warm-up for the next minute or so before we take ourselves over to gridding procedures for this race, which is going to be very interesting. Keep an eye out on here in the mid part of a season which has been dominated by Craig Baxter, but Baxter's not having everything his own way here today. Yes, he did get pole position, but he's gone so fast that he's crashed his game, and he's able to get himself back in and going to be able to race for this one. But the ultimate issue for him today in Spain is that will the computer hold up for him as he goes and races, and has it affected anything in terms of the way that he prepares for this race? It's going to be tough. We've seen how it's a long run to turn number one here today, so there are ample opportunities to get to the inside with a good start and pick up a whole host of positions here in this one. So we'll see how this one works in terms of warm-up. Luis Felipe Capamagian is the fastest driver out of them, and he's a notoriously quick starter when it comes to this series. He has gained in every race he has started so far, and that is both of them, as warm-up does come to a close. Racing procedures will start after the one formation lap that will be going around here today, and these drivers do not have long to get themselves gridded up, ready to get themselves going here today. It's a 35-lap race, so that's going to be crucial on the tyres, but 30 seconds to get themselves up and onto the grid before the race starts. Baxter will have the pole position with his teammate Sam Carpenter alongside Luis Felipe Capamagian in third, with Argenis Riera in fourth. Stoyan Barbakov starts from fifth, with Nick Bracci in 16th. Vela goes seventh, with Flavio Zongoli in eighth place. Fred Borden starts ninth, with Eric Chandra in 10th place. Then it's Alessio Spinelli and Lorenzo Capellini on row 12. Lorenzo Emili, so it's two Lorenzos back-to-back. There in 13th, Martin Garrido in 14th place. Nathan Mifsud is 15th, with Matthew Galea in 16th position, making it an all molten 8th row, with Nicola Katarine in 17th place. Nane Kolas wondering, well, how much fuel do I need to put in for this race? In 18th place, Danny Bull starts 19th, and Tarek Njumi, who was having a few issues in that qualifying, is going to be 20th position overall. So we're getting ourselves ready for racing action here. And of course, if you haven't already gone and liked us on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you can find us, of course, here on YouTube, subscribe if you haven't already. Of course, Twitch as well. Make sure you subscribe, you like, you share, you do all of the good things. You retweet, you do whatever it is that gets it out there. We'd love you for all of the hard broadcasts that you sit and watch with us, and the long broadcasts sit and watch with us. But we've got some brilliant racing action coming up for you in the next 3 weeks, including this one, and so much more that is in the pipelines that we are hoping is going to be magnificent. Keep in mind and watch. We've realised already there is one issue, and it is for Danny Bull, who has not taken to the start, and his race is over before it has even started. So Danny Bull's day is pretty much done on the formation lap. It's not often that you say that one, but that is the case. So we're down to 19 already. Here's Danny Bull, was due to take the start and ultimately will not now at this point in time. Heading through the final corner then is Craig Baxter, and that corner, some say, has lost all of the challenge that's come along from it thanks to the chicane in front. But now it's all about getting that start up together. The drivers in the odd-numbered grid positions have the racing line, have the better rubber. That might be something to keep in mind with the way that this race is going to start. Capamagian there in third, looking to try and push for a strong position in this race, try and get his championship gap of 15 points back down. Same for Sam Carpenter as the last car lines up on the grid The light procedure then will be about to start, and we'll get ourselves ready for 35 laps worth of racing action here in Spain, the halfway place in the championship, and it will start right about now, and they get themselves the green flag and go, and there's contact already here off the start. Someone didn't go, and I believe that is going to be Eric Chandra, who's missing the front wing. Capamagian trying to go around the outside here into turn 1 as they go through. All their teammates come together, different tyres from the pair of them. Baxter and Carpenter on a differing strategy as they go through here. Turn 2 into turn 3. Baxter survives. Carpenter second. Capamagian there in third, but it was carnage off the line. Someone did not get going at the moment. Lorenzo immediately going around the outside of Nathan Mifsud. I wonder if it was Dean Vella who did not get going off of the line. He's in 7th position, so struggles immediately off the line. It was Zongoli who didn't get going, and immediately there is a big inquiry that'll be had over that start. That was just a case of someone stalled it and couldn't get it going here. Battles immediately happening though here on lap 1 of 35. Look at Capamagian all over the back of Carpenter, trying to look to the outside. He's not going to find the move. Riera holding his train up. Barbakov and Bracci and Borden and Vella all there trying to stay within an arm's length at this moment in time. So they make their ways through the final sector now and trying to get a good lap. Look at Capamagian all over the back, but then the dirty air effect comes in. He can't put the power down as early, and just like that, the gap has opened up. DRS not available until the 3rd lap of this one, so he's going to have to do this the hard way if he's to get by Sam Carpenter. Is he close enough on the brakes into turn 1? Carpenter left the door wide open. Barbakov down the inside of Algenis Riera, and that's a change for 4th place. And that's a very good move that is done. Nathan Mifsud trying to get by. Alessio Spinelli here, 11th and 10th position on the roads. But Mifsud stuck behind Spinelli at this moment in time, heading to the next right-hand corner here, which is, of course, the turn 4 hairpin. Out on track. Into the pits comes Eric Chandra for a fresh wing as side-by-side Nicola Katarine going at it with Tarek Njumi down at the back of the pack, and Njumi very tentative on the brakes. Nicola Katarine making a very nice run of things at the moment, but Baxter already trying to stretch his legs here. The gap over 0.6 of a second here at the front of this field as Carpenter is having to defend. No! Contact! Round goes Carpenter. Contact with Capamagian. Contact with Barbakov. Contact with Argenis. 3 vehicles involved. Borden's turned around as well. Poor rejoin. He loses his front wing. And more's going to happen. Surely there's got to be a safety car or something for that. That was madness going through that section of road. There are 5-6 drivers all getting caught up in incident at the same corner, all spearheaded by Capamagian and also Sam Carpenter. And Sam Carpenter's very Romain Grosjean-esque rejoin did not help, and drivers not holding the brakes, not using the runoff area, which has an acre and a mile designed by Herman Tilke, ultimately causes dramas in this race. So all of a sudden, Carpenter back into 3rd. He's past Dean Vella, who's moved up into 4th. Amelie is now in 5th. Spinelli 6th. Nathan Mifsud 7th. Riera down to 8th. Bracci 9th. And Lorenzo Capellini rounding out the top 10. In terms of drives in the pitch, Stoyan Barbakov and Martin Garrido have come in. Fred Borden has come in for his stop. Tarek Njumi also is going to make a stop as well. But the stewards have a big decision to make over the entirety of that incident, because there were many drivers at fault for what happened. Borden classified then as out of the race with suspension damages, but Baxter has seen all of that happen behind him. He's now got 1.6 seconds at the front of the field, so this is going to be a key moment in the championship, you would feel, with what decision will be made over with what happened there. So we'll keep an eye out, and if we get any confirmation from the race stewards, who will be having a very good look at that incident, because a lot was there to digest. Matthew Galea fighting for a top 10 now, with Lorenzo Capellini heading through the final corner, trying to get the DRS, and will get the DRS, and this is pretty much going to be a token gesture overtake, moving to the inside. That, of course, slipstream has improved in these vehicles from where they started in the opening round of the championship, and that is comfortably done. Galea up into 10th place. 7th, 8th and 9th, Mifsud, Riera, Bracci at the moment going at it here. And Bracci looks close here into turn number 4, but ultimately is not close enough here on lap number 3 to make that move. And, well, 3 laps scored complete even on lap 4. Can't quite get that move done. So still having to wait. Emili under pressure as well for 5th place as it is. Lorenzo Emili against Alessio Spinelli here. The 2 Italians fighting at it for 5th and 6th position. Here is one slow vehicle, very slow vehicle actually. There is lap traffic, I do believe, going through. And that's Tarek Njumi. He's missing a tyre now. He's been hit, and he has been hit hard. So this is what's happened to him. He's gone slow, trying to avoid everybody here and let everyone go through. And it might be the case that he has drifted off of his line. In fact, he has pulled it away. And, oh, they were getting close. And, oh, that's a horrible, horrible incident there. And who was it that got caught up? It was Nathan Mifsud, who is missing the front right tyre and is out of this race. So, not the start that Tarek Njumi wanted. Nathan Mifsud ultimately gets caught up in that. And it's a case of balk, everyone move to the next bait. At this moment in time, Kapamajan has brought the gap down to Craig Baxter, down to a second. He's got that gap back up though to 1.2 over the first sectors. Craig Baxter, 0.2 of a second, has worked in favour. Vella and Carpenter there, close, same tyres actually for Sam Carpenter at the moment as he looks to push. They're all on the super soft at this moment in time. They feel like that is the quicker tyre around here today, but we are already down to 16 drivers in this race after some very, very big incident and a 10-second stop and go penalty determined for Luis Felipe Kapamajan in 2nd position. So he will have to come in, serve that penalty, and then get himself going again on his strategy. This horrible for what he wanted, but he knows that he was at fault for that. So he won't come in this time. He will come in probably the next time or the next time after that. So Kapamajan gets a stop-go penalty, and the race now becomes damage limitation for the Peruvian once again. Dean Vella, though, is in DRS. I wonder how much damage Sam Carpenter got from that incident here, as he is struggling out there at the moment to keep the pace that he had in qualifying. And Dean Vella is very much keeping himself in an arm's reach in terms of this scrap out here on the road. So this is going to be a key battleground that we are seeing, which will be for 2nd and 3rd when Kapamajan comes down in, takes his 10-second stop and hold, and decides that it is his time to get himself out and going again. Vella, look how close he is. He gets on the brakes in the GT Omega car, in the RPM Esports machine, heading up to turn number 9 as they go, as the penalty is very much assigned at the moment for Kapamajan as he looks to go through. This is going to be a big, big challenge here. Vella on the brakes into the left-hand bend, and no changes of position at the moment at turn number 10. Everybody having a little bit of Noah's Ark racing at this moment in time. They're all in their own lines and trying to find their bits of improvement as in comes Kapamajan to serve his stop and go penalty then for the instant that he had, and he is going to drop a whole host of positions here as he hits his box, looks to try and get himself stopped, held and going once again. Vella not close enough to get by on Sam Carpenter at the moment. Emili holding off Spinelli quite nicely at this point in time. Kapamajan comes off with the jacks, he goes away, and now he will work out where he is, currently in 10th position, and will be a while ahead of Nicola Caterine in 11th. So he's back in 10th place then over that first little bit. So now work to be done for Kapamajan, who is absolutely going at it here into turn number 1, and now needs to get himself going. Catch back Lorenzo Cappellini, who is already about 2 corners ahead of him at the moment. On though for 4th and 5th as Emili and Spinelli look to try and get their race going. We're on lap 7 of 35, and it's gone by incredibly quickly at the moment. DRS open here on the back straight, maybe a look down to the inside, not going to be able to get that one done here as Lorenzo Emili having a pretty solid run of things at the moment, able to keep Spinelli behind, but there is that strategy card which is going to come into play that is going to make life just a little bit tougher as 1 lap down gets put Eric Chandra now as the first driver to be lapped in this race. Vela still close to the back then of Sam Carpenter, but again, just not close enough to go and really make anything happen out of this move. Carpenter, very egregiously, he's going over that white line on the left-hand side of the circuit, and I wonder if maybe that could be seen as extending the track limit a little bit too much. If he keeps on doing that, that might be something just that the stewards might want to remind Sam Carpenter at that point in time, but ultimately, this race will continue regardless, and there is still a lot to be made. Baxter has a trademark lead again, and it is 6.2 seconds at the moment at the front of this field. And it is very, very telling that he is looking very much like he wants 3 straight race victories to all but put a lock on the championship if he can continue on this rich vein of form. Riera under pressure, 6th and 7th. Nick Bracci wants to get into the mix as well, as he wants to try and get by Riera as quickly as he can, but ultimately he is not finding himself anywhere near close enough to try and get the move that he wants to at this point in time. Out of the race though is Stoyan Barbakov, who came down into the pits and said, you know what, I'm a lap down, I'm not having fun here with this one, I've got damage, I'm trying to deal with everything that I've got. Race pretty much over. Here comes Nick Bracci though, defended by Argenis Riera as they head in towards turn number 1. Riera trying to get late on the brakes, but around the outside, Nick Bracci breezed it as he went on through. You're not going to see many overtakes done that effectively around the outside of that corner, and it was proven by Nick Bracci. He has got the move done, which he has needed to. Carpenter has found the pace again in 2nd position. He's broken outside of drag reduction system range here from Dean Vella in 3rd position, and that is going to be very crucial for the way that he needs his race to be run, because that is going to be a long way back for Dean Vella to go on through. Lorenzo Emili, Alessio Spinelli, they're starting to just spread out a little bit as well. It's now this becomes a race of, can we close down position upon position upon position here in this race? Nicola Katerine has 6 seconds to Nane Colas at the moment. That one could close down in the next few laps or so. And of course, that pit stop window, we're expecting it around lap 17 for those who want to half and half. Maybe even we could see some come in just a little bit earlier in terms of the way that this race is going to be run. But we are expecting here today a one-stop strategy for those who want to go out there and get the result that they want. Spinelli not close enough to Lorenzo Emili here, 4th and 5th, but Emili struggling a little bit to put the power down, and he's now going to be pretty much tucked up there. Is Spinelli trying to get the move, but again, dirty air effect through the long turn 3 is always going to be tough as he takes that alternative line, trying to narrow off an exit through turn number 4, and again, he finds himself in that 3, 4, 5/10th window, which says I'm not close enough to go out there and make a move. And that is the tough challenge that they are facing, not being close enough to get what is needed done around this circuit. So 9 laps done, and now you start looking towards the driver in 10th place, Luis Felipe Capamagian, needing a recovery drive. He is half a minute here off of the race lead, and he is 7 seconds behind Lorenzo Capellini and needing to chase down every position he can. It's a long shot for a podium here. Of course, 7.5 seconds the gap right now. Sam Carpenter to Craig Baxter, but ultimately Capamagian is running the fastest times at the moment, trying to get himself through. Spinelli, though, is through because Lorenzo Emili has decided to come down in as the first major pit stopper here at the end of lap 10. So this, to me, looks like a 2-stop strategy then from Lorenzo Emili, and we saw how the 2-stop did work last time out in China, and I was expecting high wear rates on these tyres today, so this may be a good call by Lorenzo Emili to come in early, get the 2-stop going, and get himself out again in 10th position. So we'll see how that all factors into the way that this race is going to be run at the moment. But let's go on board then with the race leader, Craig Baxter, and get ourselves a little bit of what it sounds like to be a race leader. Another solid lap, another bit of gaining as Sam Carpenter dives down into the pits then at the end of lap 11 out on circuit. So Sam Carpenter will look to try and get himself going as quickly as he can, find himself back into position here, and will try and use his strategy to his advantage here today. So we'll see how this all works out, as he is going to be in there for a very long time, it seems. There, I think he may have to have a front wing change or something of that ilk as he finally gets himself going. He is now behind Lorenzo Emili by a big, long margin. So Sam Carpenter now has to try and recover his way through this race because of that wing change. It promotes Dean Vella to second on the road right now, and he will be absolutely loving that, as he has 6 seconds to Spinelli here in third position right now. So Baxter leads, Vella second, Spinelli third, Bracci fourth, and Argenis Riera is currently in fifth place at the moment. And every single lap now becomes a vital lap for those who now need to work out, is there an undercut that is really working? Race leader comes in, Craig Baxter, at the end of lap 11, there on the 12th lap, is going to come down in and make that stop. This will promote Dean Vella then to the race lead, as he will go on by and get himself going. Alessio Spinelli then up into second. He will move. Nick Bracci has decided to come down in and make his pit stop as well, also on the 2-stop call. And there is a very small window between a 2-stop and also 1-stop. Baxter is away, and he is away just behind Matthew Galea at the moment. So that's going to be crucial, because Galea is the teammate to Dean Vella at the moment, and so there could be a case to be made that holding up drivers might be the case. A strong battle. They are fighting for position. They are allowed to battle. Baxter's got to try and dispatch here of Matthew Galea early if he wants to try and make more progress in this race, increase on his race lead. You can see he gets a good run there through turn 5 into 6 into 7 and 8, and not close enough to get it done, but he will have that DRS here through the very fast right of turn 9 and opens up the rear flap. Should have this one down to the inside. Matthew Galea doesn't have anything to fight back with, and straight through goes Baxter back into fourth position. There's Dean Vella right now sees lap traffic go off in the grass. That's Martin Garrido getting out of the way as Katarine has just come down in and made a stop. Dean Vella, though, has stopped then at lap 13, and this will promote Alessio Spinelli to go for a 1-stop call. You would feel they're about 4 laps out from that 1-stop window being opened here today, and that's going to be key. Matthew Galea also down in on the lane. Capamagian has made his stop. He's going for a 3-stop technically today because of his stop-go penalty that he's had, and he'll be trying to chase down Sam Carpenter once again on what he feels is the right decision. So Galea still in the box. Out and away, though, comes Dean Vella, and he will come out with Nick Bracci, and Bracci's going to go around the outside to the inside. Soft tyres there for Dean Vella. That's key. He's moving on to the softs then for this one. The likes of Baxter at the moment has stayed on the super soft as this continues on, and sideways goes Lorenzo Capellini through turn number 5, and that will not be helping him in terms of what he's got behind him. Immediately going, Bracci has the inside and finally is able to dispatch of Dean Vella, who will desperately need to find some pace on the soft tyre very quickly if he wants this race to go the way that he wants to. Capamagian also on the super soft tyre as he looks to try and go on. There is no mandatory to use both, as Baxter has found the back of Argenis Riera, who's all over the place, heading through the penultimate chicane, and suddenly Baxter's going to get DRS. He's going to pick up another one as Spinelli goes in. This is for the race lead now. Here's Argenis Riera. I'm not sure he's going to fight this one too hard. Down into turn number 1. On the brakes they go, and Baxter's got no real challenges for that. Argenis Riera has to cede the place, and suddenly Baxter has the race lead once again. Out to the pits then comes Alessio Spinelli, as he will be ahead of Dean Vella, but behind Nick Bracci. That's going to be crucial. Spinelli has got it done on Dean Vella, so that just shows you how much Vella struggled in that pit stop. He dropped a lot of time here in terms of that one. as he try and find a way through. He is not finding what he needs at the moment. So, a couple of drivers still looking to make those stops. We're on lap 15 then of this race of 35 as they are going on through. Craig Baxter has a stop over Argenis Riera in second, Capellini third, Lorenzo Emili in fourth position. Is looking like he is primed to get by him. There's some DRS right now, and Lorenzo Emili gets himself, oh, look to the inside, contact there as they went through, and Emili is able to just about hold on to that place for the time being. Well, Capellini is, sorry, but Emili was looking like he was close. Bella's gone around over at the third sector there, and it was in the transfer left to right where it goes uphill off camber, and he's managed to get himself back going in 8th place, and it happened very, very quickly. He was fighting back with Spinelli, looked to the inside, there was a bit of contact between them there, that would have heated up the tyres a little bit, and then through the right, more contact, and Bella, I think, drove into the side there, I think, of Spinelli. I don't know where Spinelli was supposed to go in that one. Here's Sam Carpenter trying to get by Spinelli now, and Sam Carpenter has the move on the inside up into 6th place overall. Crucially for Sam Carpenter, he's got 13 seconds over Luis Felipe Capamagian, who is all the way back in 10th position right now. So 13 seconds for Capamagian to chase down. That's going to be a tall order here in this race. Baxter's gone for a really short stop, it's worth noting as well, and is finding some good pace. On for 5th though, Capellini and Bracci here actually for 4th, and Capellini of course is on the older tyres and on the softer, the harder compound of tyres. It's well defended, both with DRS down the straight, and around the outside, Bracci's going to try and go, trying to pick up a run off of the exit here, and he is going to get it around the outside, turns to the inside. Nick Bracci up to 4th, past Lorenzo Capellini. It's Lorenzo Emili who will be next. Argenis Riera comes in on lap 16 of 35, and this should be a one stop from this point onwards to go to lap 17 that he will start, so that should be halfway. Emili stays out. Bracci, there's Capellini there as well in the mix. And then you look behind, Sam Carpenter, Alacia Spinelli, Vela 8th, Galea in 9th, and Capamagian in 10th place. Last driver on the lean lap is Nicola Caterine in 11th, with Colas, Garrido and Chandra all a lap down at the moment, and Garrido and Chandra are looking like they are going to be close to battling soon. Argenis Riera will come out then in 10th place, and by a fair margin at this point in time, it has to be said. He finds himself now a long, long way back and looking to try and chase down those who are in front and those positions which become so very, very vital here in the midsection of this race. We are almost exactly halfway through the racing season, ladies and gentlemen, and this is going to be crucial for the way that this is going to be run. They know they go to a practically a no overtake circuit in terms of Monaco, as Carpenter through on Capellini down the inside and up into 4th place, making that move sorted. So Sam Carpenter up to 4th, but they know Monaco comes up next, and that's going to be a tall order for everyone who is driving there as they go through. Capellini runs wide, and Spinelli picks up a perfect one. Team orders, me think, from them, as Spinelli feels like he is the quicker driver to Capellini, who is out there yet to make a first stop and an only stop. I think he is looking to try and get on the soft tyres. So that's going to be crucial for how his race is going to be run. But crucially, it is a big lead at the moment for Craig Baxter. It is 18 seconds at the moment over Lorenzo Emili here, as Emili and Bracci at the moment nose tail almost as they go through turn 5. Well, it's a little bit further than that, but you certainly do feel like Nick Bracci is closing in on Lorenzo Emili and hoping like there is going to be some opportunity to come up in the next section of this race. Capamagian's gap to Matthew Galea is a crucial one to keep an eye out on as well. They've, he has brought the gap down here, GT Omega to GT Omega, to what is just 2.3 seconds on the road. So we'll see if the teams decide that they want to change positions. It is, of course, the RPM Esports team 7th, 8th, and 9th at the moment here. So this is going to be a tall challenge as they head on through. Emili and Bracci 2nd, 3rd, Carpenter 4th, and Spinelli trying to hold on to the back in 5th place at the moment. Traffic for Alessio Spinelli. He'll get DRS for this one to get by. You would have felt as he actually does not. And he will have to fight hard, actually, to make his way through, and does so on Nane Colas. So that's good. And so Cotterine is off. He's in the gravel down at turn 5. He's able to get it going again. So not too many worries by that regard. But ultimately, that will not be a helpful little trip to the kitty litter, as that does become a less and less frequent sight when it comes to race circuits these days, finding yourself with a bit of gravel out on track. But 2nd and 3rd continues to be the main scrap, and they are both being caught by Sam Carpenter here in 4th position. He's got the tail between his legs a little bit after he had earlier on, and now needs to try and get the bit between the teeth if he wants to get through. Look how close Bracci is, heading through turn 10 like Kaiksa, up into 11 and into 12, and then suddenly turn 13 will approach here, this 90-degree right-hander. Then you got 14, 15 the chicane, and turn 16, which opens up for the next part of the lap. Heavy over the curb goes Nick Bracci for the anti-cut as he looks to go through onto lap 20 of this race. And for the time being, it seems like it will be defended. Bit of weaving here, and there was more than one change of line. That will be a little bit of a, I'll have a look at that then for the stewards. Bracci trying to go around the outside. Oh, Lorenzo Amili shut the door firmly there on Nick Bracci. He was pinched more to the inside than I think I've seen anybody right now. On as well here for 9th position, as here's Matti Galea being overtaken by Luis Felipe Capamagian in an easy overtake. So that would have changed. For 8th position, Vela will be next, and Vela has caught the back of Lorenzo Capellini here as he will try and recover in this race. I don't know how he's lost so much time here as he goes through, as he now looks to go around the outside, trying to get the move done. And can he get the power on the exit? Oh, he can. He has to go the Ryan Hunter-Ray route with 2 tyres on the grass, but the move is complete. And up into 6th place then goes Dean Vela Capellini, starting to look other way, backwards. And remember, Capellini and Capamagian, they came together. In fact, Capellini here has dropped the position immediately here to Capamagian. So how has that happened for Lorenzo Capellini out on circuit? So this is what happened to him. Heads himself through the right, and I believe that he has a big wiggle and saves it. So Capamagian gets the position there without doing any work at all. So that's going to be key. Emili caught by Bracci, caught by Carpenter now. The gap 23 seconds after 20 laps worth of racing, and ultimately this is going to be a tall challenge here. Bracci trying to open up turn 3, and now you've got the Hamilton-Rosberg line here at turn 4. No contact between them as they head through. Almost a little bit there in the mid part of the corner for Nick Bracci, who is getting bogged down and frustrated, which means that he is going to really struggle to make those moves. 2nd pit stops though, they should be in the offing in just a little bit, and that's going to be crucial as well for those who are going to turn to a 2-stop strategy, and those who are going to stay on the yellow wall soft tyres compared to the super soft here today. DRS wide open. Eric Chandra comes down in and makes his stop, but Lorenzo Amili, nice and tight, is very much idolizing Jarno Trulli at the moment, the way he is keeping everybody behind him at the moment. Alessio Spinelli is going to be on the back of this 4-car train in the moment. He's 1.2 seconds back of this, and side by side they go. Mistake from what was Amili here, and there's a block, and Carpenter has to go around the outside. He gets 1, he gets 2 into the pits. Then comes Lorenzo Amili. He's had enough of the tyres, and suddenly Sam Carpenter back to 2nd, Bracci to 3rd, got very much balked by all of that. And Alessio Spinelli now trying to make the move here. He'll have to go around the outside to get this one done. Contact once, contact twice. Is there going to be contact thrice? Yes, there is. Around goes Spinelli into the gravel. Oh, dear me, you thought it would. And it absolutely did. So that was not ideal. Spinelli struggling. Dean Vela loses the position as well. Capamagian, who's now back into 5th place overall. But all of a sudden, Alessio Spinelli gets turned, and I wonder what the stewards will think of that as they all look to push forward. 14 drivers remaining here in this race in Spain. And this is going to be a tough, tall order for quite a few of these drivers who are out there having a scrap at the moment. Eric Chandra has just made the move on Nane Kolas there, and that was for 13th place. The final two positions at the moment in this field, and those were some good moves being made by those two. Chandra on his race start had himself the big issue lap 1 right off the start with Zongoli not making progress off of the line. But Craig Baxter here on lap 23 now of 35 has 13 laps to go here in this race if he wants to go out there and win this one outright. He knows what he needs to do, and it is stay exactly where he is. His gap is 27 seconds over his teammate. He has almost a whole pit stop in hand at the moment, the way that he is running. Alessio Spinelli then comes down onto pit lane for his final stop of the day here on the end of lap 22 out there on track. So Spinelli into his box. He'll be up on the jacks. He'll get tyres. Now he'll get fuel, and now he'll get himself going again. Well, actually, he won't need fuel, but he'll definitely need something to get himself going again. Probably fuel is the right thing as he goes and looks to try and find the improvements that he needs. He's back in 10th place. He's a mile now behind Lorenzo Emili here in 9th, who's moved on to the soft compound tyre for the rest of this race. And he's found himself on the back of a Lorenzo Capellini. So the two Lorenzos going through, and well, one Lawrence to another. Lorenzo makes it on Lorenzo. Emili past Capellini, 8th and 9th. Those two have made those changes out there on the road. So it all just starts to spread out a little bit as we wait for the second stop to come into full effect, as we expect the likes of Sam Carpenter and Nick Bracci to maybe make those calls, come down in, make those stops. Kapamajian may need his third, as he has to still catch what is now 9 seconds to Sam Carpenter. So he has closed down that gap, but I think he's running out of time. If he is to pick up one more, he's going to need a little bit of help out there on circuit if he is to get what he is capable of getting here. So maybe he needs a little bit more, but 4th position for Kapamajian. That is damage limitation in a race that has been very, very hectic. In comes Lorenzo Capellini then. He will come in for his final scheduled stop of the day at the end of lap 23, and he will now look to try and get his final stint going very nicely out there at the moment. Lap traffic becoming more of a key here as the likes of Nicola Caterine getting put a lap down by Sam Carpenter. In comes Craig Baxter, though, here from the race lead at the end of lap 23, at the start of lap 20, or at the end of lap 24, here, and the start of lap 25 in this race. So up on the jack and down goes he does, and Craig Baxter should be back and ahead in the race lead once it's all said and done. He has been absolutely faultless here at the moment, and you cannot argue with the way that Baxter's running. Out he goes, and in comes Sam Carpenter to make his stop, and Bracci at the same time. So Kapamajian is going to stay out then, heading through the final corner, and now this becomes a case of these two, Carpenter and Bracci, now need to find their boxes, make their stops, get themselves off, going out and away again without any issues. There goes one driver being Mr. Sam Carpenter, and look how close Bracci was there when they came through, both behind Argenis Riera, who's only made one stop. Lorenzo Emili's right on the back of this as well, so he's done a good job to stay in contact, but ultimately those staying out have got the positions. Bracci and Carpenter ahead of them. Matti Galea down in on the lane as well. That's going to be key at this moment in time, but now Argenis Riera looking behind at some very, very quick drivers who want to try and make a way through. It's not going to happen at turn 5. This is going to bunch the pack right up then as they head themselves towards turn 6, turn 7 and co, and look to try and continue on their races at this point in time. So for the time being, this is where Argenis Riera has got to be really careful. The RS will be open here for Sam Carpenter. Looked like it was going to be half defended here. Here's late on the brakes to the inside. Oh, Carpenter caught in 2 minds and thought better of making the move. Maybe think of a different place now to try and get it done on the struggling Riera, who is struggling here through the corners, and everyone now pretty much nose to tail as they head through this section. Riera's got to be careful on the brakes here as he holds everybody up. Does he dive down for the pits? No, he stays up for another lap. So DRS becomes key here in terms of this move. Capamaccian, though, is down on the lane and he's trying to make his way down through. You'll see the battle he wants to be on go by as Sam Carpenter, Argenis Riera side by side. It's turn number 1. Nothing Riera can do. Sam Carpenter is back into third. Only Dean Vella splits him from second position. Back-to-back 1-2s in the offing. Nick Bracci, though, trying to find a chance to go through. Maybe does it at turn 4. Looking down to the inside to make that move, but it's such a wide parabola through that corner that you're going to see Argenis Riera hold it around the outside, even on older tyres. It's becoming a struggle for Nick Bracci to go and make a way through. Capamaccian back out again in 7th position. He is 6 seconds back of Lorenzo Emili and has a lot of work to do over the final few laps then of this race if he does want to pick up the big race big points, try and recover here today and pretty much count his blessings that he's still got to fight for the championship heading over to the Monaco street circuit here as they go through. Argenis Riera still holding off Bracci, Emili just behind that as well, but that is the only battle out on track at the moment, and it does seem like to be the viewing of this race right now. For those who are just joining us, 5 retirements here today as Dean Vella does dive in then from second position. Flavio Zongoli out before he even made it past the start finish line. He stalled on the grid and everybody plowed into the back of him. Then Fred Borden and Tarek Njumi out in 3 laps worth of racing. Nathan Mifsud got caught up with Njumi, and also Stoyan Barbakov pulling over and calling it end of his day. But some good racing still on the offing, and Argenis Riera is holding on to that 3rd place well. Nick Bratch looking for a way through at every given opportunity right now out on track, and he is not finding it. Someone who's finding pace, though, is Capamaccian, who, after his drive-through penalty, is now got that gap down to Lorenzo Emili to what is 3 3/4 plus seconds, 4 seconds at the moment out on track. So 4 seconds, try and chase down. That's possible here at the moment as Riera still holding off them Bracci in 3rd and 4th. Bracci almost got the run off the exit there to get the moves sorted, but could not manage it. Heading up the hill through the right of 12 and towards turn 13. He's trying to get a podium here, but it's just not happening. And the more that he gets held up, the more the likes of Emili will come in, and Capamaccian chasing down that as well. DRS will be in full force, and surely Riera can't fight this one now. Bracci to the inside, trying to be forced to the inside is always tough, but Riera on the brake. Nothing you can do now. Nick Bracci finally gets the move done that moves him up onto the podium in 3rd position. Here, half a minute off of the race lead is 2nd place Sam Carpenter. That's how quick Craig Baxter has been running here today. It is on, though, now for what is 5th and 6th position here, because Lorenzo Emili has been pretty much gobbled in at this point in time. And now Capamaccian has got to work out where he goes and makes that move. Does he dare into turn 7? No, he doesn't. But Emili makes a mistake here, and this is going to be just plain sailing inside of turn 9. Maybe, no, can't do it there. DRS at turn 10. We saw how it didn't work for Capamaccian earlier on in this race. He moves to the inside trying to get it done, but again, late on the brakes there. Lorenzo Emili is absolutely fantastic then on the defense. Nothing Capamaccian can do at this situation. He knows he's got the pace. He knows he's capable of making this move. He's just got to find it. And again, he cannot find it through the chicane as he heads himself towards another lap to start his 29th lap of this race. And oh no! Emili goes hard around and into the wall goes Lorenzo Emili. I wonder if there was contact between them as they went through. It's an awkward place to go through. This is what happened then. So through the final chicane, Emili was being hounded by Capamaccian as they went on through. I wonder if Capamaccian just carried more pace, and the answer to that is no. Around went Emili. So on his own, Lorenzo Emili goes around, and Capamaccian now up into 5th position, chasing down Argenis Riera next for 4th place in this one overall. So this is going to be a tough order at this point in time moving forward. Has not been for Craig Baxter, who knows that he's only got a handful of laps remaining, 6 of them to be precise in this one. But there is still a lot going on as Lorenzo Capellini here has himself a whole lap, I do believe, on Nicola Caterine here in 11th. So Caterine has been running quietly on his own to an 11th place finish. That'll be a couple of points that he can put in for his debut. He'll be pleased with that one going on. And in terms of the Spinelli-Bracci incident earlier on, a 5-second time penalty given to Alessio Spinelli for not giving space to Nick Bracci, and that's going to be key actually for Alessio Spinelli, because Lorenzo Emili all of a sudden now has to really charge in this one after that spin, because he knows that 5 seconds behind he is not at the moment. He is 7, and here comes Matthew Galea looking to try and move up then that next position, and he's going to the inside, and he can't get it done again. Brilliant around the outside. Lorenzo Emili now, suddenly Dean Vella's there as well, looking to try and get into the mix. 3-car scrap going on at the moment, and this is going to be crucial. To the outside, tries Matthew Galea. That's not going to work. He's opened the door up for his teammate, Dean Vella, and he's going to try and go down the inside of both of them here, is he? Outside of turn 5 is always tough. Vella's going to try and hold it around the outside. Contact off of the exit there between those two, but that is the move done. Dean Vella up a place. Look down to the inside. Half look there from Matthew Galea. He will try and get the move done now around the inside of turn 10 with the DRS. Gets himself a very good run here as he goes through. Capamagian is through on Argenis Riera. And I think Riera's had a moment out there on track. He had a second heading into that final sector. And all of a sudden, big slide as he goes through the left-hand bend of turn 10. And then he finds himself wide through turn number 12 and suddenly thinks, you know what? I'm just going to let him have it. He forces his way through to Capamagian to make his move. Vella through, Galea through, and Emili does decide to pit. So Lorenzo Emili, his day going from bad to a whole lot worse at the moment. So still a lot to go. Capamagian, 5 seconds he needs to chase down, get to Nick Bracci, and this is going to be a tall order here with only a couple of laps to go, and I don't think Capamagian is going to have enough at the moment. Craig Baxter finishes lap 31 even of this race. He will have himself 4 laps, 32, 33, 34, and lap 35 remaining in terms of his challenge to move on forward in this one. Key as well as the fact that Lorenzo Emili comes out in 10th position and 1 lap down now here in this race, and that it's crucial for a number of reasons, because Lorenzo Emili gives more points to Capellini, who desperately needs them here today after a very quiet 9th place where he's been looking at cars overtaking him instead of him doing the overtaking. But at the moment, Sam Carpenter is not a million miles away in the distance in 2nd position. He's only got a 1.5 seconds, and that's going to be a slightly worrying here for Carpenter in 2nd. Yes, he is managing that gap, but Nick Bracci, if he can find himself within a second, he's going to have a whole lot of help in the final few laps. Carpenter has to be careful here that he does not drop that time, and another 1/10 of a second goes in the opening sector, so that gap comes down once again to 1.4 seconds now. Sam Carpenter hoping to hold on to the team's second 1-2, back-to-back 1-2 finishes would be absolutely nice. Alessio Spinelli in 6th position, still holding that margin, but Dean Vella is closing it. The gap down to 7.3. That margin needs to be 5 seconds for Dean Vella come the end. If he can get it down to 5 seconds, he's got what he wants and a bit more, and that is the position over Alessio Spinelli out there on the road. Carpenter, though, another 10th loss then in that last sector, and now heading through the final sector. Nick Bracci is trying to bring himself back into the mix here, as they will have 3 laps to go and make this move, and Bracci's gap is 1.4 again. That final sector working a charm for Sam Carpenter, who is just doing enough to keep Nick Bracci at an arm's reach at this moment in time. Capamagian surely will have to resign his fate to fourth. Riera has done brilliantly, actually, to not make another stop and still be there in what is going to be fifth place, but he knows he's looking behind Alessio Spinelli, who's only 4 seconds down the road. That may actually be caught by the end of this race, but ultimately for position, that will not matter much because there is a 5-second penalty come the end that will be adjudicated and added on to that one. But still, just a handful of laps to go, and it's 2 laps left then for Craig Baxter at the front. And we haven't really, well, we've gone to him quite a bit because he has been leading, but the margin, the amount that he is leading by, yes, he's had quite a bit of help today from issues here and issues there, but he has absolutely shown why he is a cut above everybody else right now here with a 31-second lead at this moment in time. Bracci, though, gap 1.1 over the line. He's had a great middle sector, and it wasn't matched there in the final sector by Carpenter. So now all of a sudden, Sam Carpenter has to be clean for 2 more laps. Bracci is in no position to make the move, but now look behind. Argenis Riera here could be about to lose 5th place on track, but not overall. The gap is now for Spinelli to Dean Vella, still 8 seconds now. So Vella is losing time to Spinelli, who's gaining time on Riera. So Riera now has to really look at what he's doing. And Bracci's had a mistake. As Bracci had an off, he has had an off here. So Nick Bracci from 3rd position here was looking like he was going to be odds on for a podium. What has happened here? Heads through the right of turn number 4 into turn number 5. Huge issue. And I believe that is a retirement. The brakes let go for Nick Bracci, and his race is over. Everybody gains. Capamagian somehow is going to get a 3rd place then out of this. Riera holding on to 4th. Spinelli in 5th. Oh, they both spun! They've both spun! And all on their own accord. Spinelli will go through on Argenis Riera, and Dean Vella might find himself within that 5-second margin that he needs to promote himself up into 5th place. So now Spinelli here, all of a sudden, a big issue as the last lap starts for Craig Baxter. In fact, he's already halfway through it at this point in time. But Dean Vella, I think, is well within 5 seconds right now to get himself past Argenis Riera, who has the penalty. Alessio Spinelli, who has the penalty. Riera's going to be under pressure now here from Dean Vella as he goes through, and he's well within the wheelhouse. 3 seconds only at this point in time. But you have to look now at Craig Baxter heading himself through the final couple of corners and has walked away from the field once again. It is a wonderland again for Craig Baxter. Struggled to find the words, because he is going to come across the line and win here in Spain. Sam Carpenter a long way back for 2nd position here. Riera's gone around again, and I think that Riera here needs to get himself going. The tyres, I think, have just decided to let go, and Lorenzo Capellini might be picking up a place as well on top of this. So, 2nd over the line. Finally will come Sam Carpenter, who knew he was beat today. The damage definitely didn't help him trying to get over the line. 2nd for Sam Carpenter, and Luis Felipe Capamagian with a drive-through penalty, able to bring the gap to Carpenter down to under 4 seconds come the end. It will be Spinelli on the road in 4th position, but Dean Vella will make a way past him after the penalty will be adjudicated here for 4th and 5th overall out there on track. And Matthew Galea, I think, is just a little bit too far behind here in 6th place to capitalise on that. He'll be pleased with that 6th. He weaves over the line, but he will not get past Spinelli as well. Riera does hold on to 7th ahead of Capellini, and Lorenzo Emili will be the last driver come over the line with Nicola Caterine 1 lap down come the end of that. So classified results, Baxter wins by 30 seconds in the end over Sam Carpenter. Capamagian from a stop-and-go penalty picks up 3rd. Spinelli will be demoted to 5th, so these results are unofficial here. Dean Vella 5th, but will be promoted up to 4th. Galea 6th, Riera 7th, Capellini in 8th, Emili 9th, and Caterine rounding out the top 10 1 lap down. Nick Bracci, the brakes let go. He will be unclassified in 11th with Martin Garrido 12th, Eric Chandra 13th, and Nane Kolas, the last finisher, in 14th. Stoyan Barbakov retired the car of his own accord. Nathan Mifsud losing a wheel, very similar to Schumacher Coulthard in Spa-Francorchamps there with Tarek Njumi. Fred Borden out after the big incident on lap 2, and Flavio Zongoli out before the start of this race. Indeed, but a huge result there for a number of drivers out here today, but everybody knowing what they needed to be capable of doing and what they needed to be done doing, they did. And cannot argue with the fact that Craig Baxter is a cut above the rest here today, ladies and gentlemen. Half a minute in a race is seldom found for a race distance of 45 minutes long, and he has pretty much put a rubber stamp. If he can just finish those 2 races in Monaco and in Spielberg, he will be looking like he is going to be running towards a championship. But we hope that we're going to be getting some driver interviews in just a few moments' time as they look to try and get themselves going forward. But of course, a lot to look forward to with this racing. Craig Baxter joins us, though. He picks up the race victory for the 3rd consecutive week. And Craig, that was a waltz after it seemed like both your title rivals decided they wanted to play ping pong.
I feel like I may have had a part to play in that, not directly anyway, but I picked up damage from turn 1. So I was trying to get used to it and trying to break into turn 10. I went super deep, so I'm guessing Capamagian behind got put off by that and tried to go down the inside of Sam and completely missed the corner and took him out, which is a shame, but I guess that's racing.
Well, that is racing, and you fully took advantage, only losing the lead once, and that was, of course, for your first pit stop, and it was a case of, well, walk away with it. But let's talk qualifying for a second, because it took you a long time to get the lap. You had to get it done at the death of your teammate Sam, and it's your 2nd pole position of the season, and you have to be pretty pleased with the fact that you are finding the pace at varying types of track, and you know that the next track becomes a pole position pretty much mandate. It's key around that place. So when it comes to Monaco, surely qualifying is going to be the main key.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying was on edge. I tried to wait to get some free track, and then I got crashed into while queuing up. So I lost my rear wing, and then I had to go again. And then I got traffic like 3 times in a row. So I only had 1 lap where I didn't have traffic, and that was the final lap. And I was just really glad that I was able to get a clean lap in. Because it's one area where I've always wanted to improve qualifying, so I was really happy with the lap I got in.
105 points out of 105, surely one hand on the title.
I mean, you've got to take it race by race, but of course, it's always good to be in the lead by a decent margin.
Decent margin it is. Before we let you go here, Craig, any shout-outs, any sponsors?
As usual, Vitesse Design, AOR. Shout out to my teammates as well. It's a real big shame for Nick. Had a brake failure right at the end when we were going to have a 1-2-3. But yeah, tough luck, I guess.
Tough luck there indeed for him, but Craig Baxter picks up the win. Sam Carpenter came home in 2nd, but Sam, you had to work pretty hard in that race. A big accident for you on lap 2 with Luis Felipe Capamagian. Didn't help things at all. You would feel with the fact that there was maybe 5-6 drivers, separate incidents, same corner, all spiraling as a chain reaction from that one initial crash.
Yeah, it's first of all, I want to take responsibility for lap 1, turn 1, because we sort of agreed that we wanted to sort of seal out Luis into turn 1 if we could and keep him in 3rd. And I got a little bit aggressive at turn 1 and gave Craig a little bit of damage, as well as myself. I don't know if that contributed to the mistake he made on lap 2, but yeah, I mean, when that happens, when somebody goes off in front of you, you've just got to exercise caution, and that didn't happen. So I was just punted in the rear. But I'm very surprised we actually managed to get that back. I know the penalty helped, but having a 1-2 again was brilliant. It could have been a 1-2-3, obviously, but that's just how things go.
It is how things go, but it was a tough bit of battling in the mid to the late part, differing strategies definitely played a factor in that. So having to keep on your edge, having to get by drivers like Alessio Spinelli, Lorenzo Emili and co. It seemed like there was a lot of drivers here today that had a legitimate shot of picking up big results, but ultimately they fell by the wayside, and it was the usual suspects who were able to deliver.
Yeah, I think that just our usual strategy ends up working on most tracks, and a lot of people still haven't learned that trying alternative strategies, or at least if you're going to try one and you see that it's not working halfway through the race, then you probably should go and convert to a different one. But yeah, it was traffic to get through that probably would have been easier if I didn't have the damage. I did repair it. I got 20 seconds of damage repair halfway through the race while at my first stop, and that made I still had bent steering and about 1.5 seconds lap time disadvantage through the whole race, so that made getting past them harder. But I think that flattered them a little bit with their strategies, but not to put them down or anything. But it's just, I think it should have been a lot easier than it was if I had a car that was working.
Crown Jewel circuit next week, Monaco, always a favourite for drivers to drive around, but necessarily as racing, it's a qualifying centric circuit. Do you feel like it might just be a case that drivers are going to try something maybe very, very different when it comes to Monaco, knowing that it's a track where overtaking comes at a premium, and that premium becomes even more exercised, especially with vehicles that go this quick?
Yeah, it's Monaco's a bit of a weird one for me. I'm either up there or absolutely atrocious. But I mean, literally anything could happen there. I mean, somebody might try and do a zero stop there. You don't know. In fact, I think that probably might be a strategy that's pretty viable. But I really have no idea. Like, I could win. I could be 15th. I have no idea. It's complete unknown.
Well, let's spin the lottery wheel and see where you finish up. But before we let you go, second position, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done, Sam?
Shout out Thrustmaster, actually, since they're sponsoring this league and AOR for us as well. And again, just VD Sport, Test Design, and all our teammates who it was their strongest weekend so far this weekend, but both of them unfortunately DNF'd.
Well, that's Sam Carpenter in second position. Luis Felipe Capamajan had to take a stop-and-go penalty and still got third position overall. Lewis, first and foremost, let's talk us through your incident then that happened on lap 2. And did you feel like maybe more could be done in terms of the stewarding, that maybe more people were at fault for behind you as well as the initial incident?
Well, it's difficult to say. I have to check the replay, but when Craig passed the braking zone, when I almost hit Sam, before hitting Sam, I don't know how to say it in English, but he braked more than the usual. That's why I make a contact with him. But well, that's racing, and I accept the penalty of the steward. So keep it up, and I didn't knew that I was going to finish third. So happy about that.
Well, happy with that third place. It didn't look like it was on for a very long time. It seemed like every position was going to have to be hard fought through your charge back through the field, but ultimately seeing a brake failure happen to one of your competitors a couple of laps from the end, not the way that you'd want to make that move. You'd necessarily prefer the last lap heroics of what happened a week ago, but ultimately it seemed to be the case that you take them how you get them.
Yes, unfortunately for him, he went off the road, but yes, I had a good pace with the bump. With Sam, my front wing was completely damaged. The car didn't turn like always. When I entered pit, I saw a lot of timing and repair, so I skipped the repair and went through with the damage, and that's it. I finished third and happy about it.
Well, very happy about it. Monaco in a week's time. How are you feeling about that? Do you feel like a track so different, the only street circuit on the calendar, could provide changes in terms of form at the front of the field?
Yes, it's a tough track. It's difficult to pass. Qualifying will be a main thing there. And like Sam said, anything can happen. You can finish third or last or whatever, but it's a nice track.
Very nice track, and we have to agree with that. Before you let you go, Louis, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you?
Yeah, let me thank RPM Esports because I'm here, and well, everyone that is helping.
Well, Luis Felipe Capamajan, third place, a very, very tumultuous race with a lot of differing and varying results for certain drivers. But of course, you can catch the next round of this Thrustmaster World Pro Racing F19 short series at Monaco in 1 week's time, right on the same social media platforms you're watching right now, on YouTube, also on Twitch and on Facebook Live as well. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you know when that race is coming up next. A massive thanks, though, has to go to Thrustmaster, who sponsor this series and, of course, is helped and supported by Melita, Gaming Malta, and Visit Malta as well. Of course, George Muscat and Adrian Fagayo, Chief Steward and Race Director, have both done a fantastic job in the steward's office here today, and they've had a lot of work cut out for them after that opening lap incident. Also, big thanks to Justin Mifsud, who's been on the cameras for us here today. I, of course, have been Jake Sperry. And 3 from 3, says Craig Baxter, can shine and smile, and he can grin from ear to ear. The championship is in reach, but as we all know, anything can happen when you hit the streets of Monaco. Those streets do not forgive, they do not forget, and that is the crown jewel of racing. We'll see you in a week's time around the streets of Monte Carlo.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
I know you've got a secret like a child, you wanna keep it, but your shiny eyes reveal the simple truth.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.